The courtroom fell silent the moment she walked in, small, nervous, dressed in plain clothes that made her look even more fragile. People whispered that she was easy to intimidate, easy to control, easy to blame. And the judge knew it. From the moment the hearing began, he twisted her words, mocked her innocence, and pushed false evidence meant to destroy her life. He thought she was powerless, until she calmly reached for her phone, dialed one number, and said 7 words that made the judge's face turn white. "Honey, they're trying to frame me again." Because the man on the other end was a Supreme Court justice. Before we begin, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Tales and Turns. And tell us where you're watching from in the comments. We love hearing from our amazing global family. She stood on trembling legs as the judge glared down at her, his voice dripping with arrogance. Everyone in the courtroom had already written her off as guilty. She was too simple, too soft-spoken, too unprepared. The prosecutor waved fabricated documents with confidence, and the judge accepted every one of them without question. She felt her heart pounding, not from guilt, but from the shock of being treated like a criminal when she had done nothing wrong. The judge smirked every time she tried to defend herself, making it clear this was personal, and he expected her to break. But she didn't break. She simply watched him, breathing slowly, observing the way he seemed too eager to end her life with a few strokes of his pen. Something wasn't right. She recognized him, not as a public servant, but as a man her husband once warned her about. A man who had been caught accepting bribes, twisting verdicts, and abusing his position until her husband helped remove him from consideration for a federal appointment. And now it made sense. This wasn't justice. This was revenge. As witnesses were called, liars paid to speak against her, she felt a strange calm wash over her. She wasn't alone, not really. Her husband had always told her that if she ever found herself in danger, she should call him. But she had never thought a moment like this would come. The judge looked triumphant, leaning back in his chair as if he had already won. He didn't notice the shift in her eyes, the spark of confidence returning to her as she reached into her bag. When the false witness finished his rehearsed accusations, the judge looked at her with a mocking smile. "Do you have anything to say for yourself?" he asked loudly. The court chuckled. She nodded, pulled out her phone, and dialed. Everyone watched, confused, as she placed the call on speaker. A deep, steady voice answered immediately. "Love? Are you okay?" Her voice didn't shake as she replied, "I think you might want to hear what this judge is doing." The judge's face went pale, his smile evaporating, his hands gripping the bench tightly. The courtroom froze as her husband's identity was revealed, Supreme Court Justice Adam Hale, one of the most respected legal minds in the country. His voice alone commanded silence. "Which judge?" he asked sharply. She glanced at the trembling man before her. "Judge Robert Carson," she said. Gasps filled the room. Carson stood up abruptly, stuttering, pretending he didn't know who she was, pretending this was a misunderstanding. But the damage was already done. Adam Hale's tone turned cold. "Put him on the phone," he said, and the entire courtroom held its breath. The judge refused at first, stammering excuses, claiming she was manipulating the situation. But the bailiff, having recognized the gravity of the moment, took the phone and placed it in front of the judge. Carson's voice cracked as he greeted the Supreme Court justice, trying desperately to sound professional. Adam asked one question: "Are you interfering with my wife's rights?" The judge tried to deny everything, but the justice interrupted him. "This hearing is being monitored now. And my team is on the way. Sit down. Say nothing. Do nothing illegal." The courtroom erupted into whispers. The atmosphere shifted instantly. The prosecutor backed away, the false witnesses slipped out quietly, and the judge looked like he wanted to vanish. The simple woman who had been mocked and framed now stood stronger than ever. With her husband listening, she finally told her side, every detail, every lie exposed, every inconsistency pointed out. Without the judge interfering, her truth stood tall and undeniable. The courtroom began to realize something: she wasn't powerless. She had simply chosen gentleness over aggression, until they forced her hand. After what felt like hours, the judge had no choice but to dismiss every false charge. He tried to salvage his reputation by declaring there had been a miscommunication, but nobody believed him. Before she left, her husband's voice came through the phone once more. "I'll take it from here," he said, his tone sharp as steel. "This judge won't sit in that chair much longer." She thanked him softly, and he replied with warmth only she ever heard, "I'm proud of you for standing strong." As she stepped out of the courtroom, people who had judged her earlier now looked at her with awe. But she didn't flaunt her victory. She simply walked out with quiet dignity, proving that true strength doesn't always roar, sometimes it whispers, waits, and rises only when necessary. She knew her husband was already in motion, ensuring no one would dare abuse their power again, especially not against those who couldn't defend themselves. That night, sitting with her husband on their porch as the sun set, she finally let her tears fall, tears of relief, gratitude, and strength rediscovered. He held her hand and reminded her that no matter how simple the world thought she was, she had a courage that outshone every title, every courtroom, and every corrupt judge they would ever face. And in that moment, she realized something deeply moving: she didn't win because she had a powerful husband. She won because she never lost her integrity, even when the world tried to strip it away. Their story became a quiet inspiration, proof that even the gentlest heart can stand against injustice, and even the most powerful titles mean nothing without truth. And together, they knew this was not an ending, but the beginning of a legacy built on courage, justice, and unshakable love.